It is weird.
Mm-hmm.
I always kind of rely on Lucid's eyes and ears for like when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
Twitch stuff. I'm like, yeah, can we all be heard? It's just like, yeah, or no, or our lips are moving.
Yeah.
And it's not in sync
Sounds
with
like
it. Oh, we are the Power Rangers. Mesmero. Alright, let me look here. Gosh, I am so excited for this weekend. I can't even contain myself. I'm freaking out, guys, from the excitement right now. You almost get anxiety from what you might be missing. It's just like, what? Oh my gosh, there's all these people who I follow on YouTube or who are kind of like part of like my hobby. So there's Shut Up and Sit Down. The board gamers are gonna be there at like 10 a.m. as soon as basically the death slot. 10 a.m. soon as the market shop exhibit hall opens. So I'm like, exhibit hall or them. And then a fifth edition Critical Role is going to be there, obviously. And then Matt Colville, he's another guy who I'm keeping an eye on as far as YouTube. He's going to be there. He's starting a new company for streaming. A lot of OSR stuff, any RPG. Gosh, I want to see if anybody's going to like sweep the Ennies. I'm hoping. More independent stuff. I mean, because it's always like Ennies, they always like, okay, it's either Hasbro being like, hey, Wizards of the Coast, here you go. D&D, there you go. All the rewards. Or Kobold Press with Pathfinder.
Yeah.
Or Starfinder, they take it. I'm like, man, come on, where's the little guy,
Well, I'm really happy for my buddy who made the happiest apocalypse on Earth. He got like 2 nods for like best writing and best. Gosh, it wasn't best game. I think it was best art interior. But it's his first release, so that's really exciting. Like powered by the apocalypse. But you know,
the happiest apocalypse
on Earth.
On Earth.
And it looks like Lisa's going to show us a copy. It's got an awesome haunting cover. Like I love that cover. Basically, it's like a powered by the apocalypse horror in an amusement park. So
nice.
That's so good.
I think they call it Mouseland or Mouse World instead. Obviously Disneyland. So
Mouse Park.
Mouse Park. Thanks. But I mean, the big. It's not even a sleeper. Is Harlem Unbound, which is kind of like I didn't really get it at first, but when I read into it more, I totally gathered what the deal was. So basically, it's a Call of Cthulhu supplement that's like, I think it's the 20s, but it's like early, but it deals with like racism. Where like, there's a long running history in the industry of like, us just, especially with Cthulhu-esque stuff, because like Lovecraft was pretty notorious for his bias of
not him.
Yeah. So people are digging it that like, a person of color made a supplement that just walks you right into it and says, let's deal with racism. Like front and center in Cthulhu.
That's pretty awesome. What's it called again? What's that one called?
Harlem Unbound.
Harlem Unbound.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a great RPG. It's a great supplement. And there's even been some companion fiction. They're probably not related to it, but kind of like that Cthulhu mythos from a more diverse angle. One's called Cthulhu Country, and it is Cthulhu during the sort of Jim Crow era, and it's like it's sort of that racism as sort of this existential threat almost.
Yeah.
And the idea is like, how scary is, a color from outer space when, you're just trying to get from point A to point B without like getting mobbed at any point. So that's kind of the like recurring thing. It's just how, how baffling, how terrible can those truths, essentially be if, you're kind of dealing with, sort of this horrible existence trying to, in the 1920s, I think there was a really good, NPR covered it, but sort of that sci-fi from more diverse kind of outlook. And Harlem Unbound, I'm glad you said that because when I saw that, I'm like, I like the art. It's very Art Deco, kind of captures the time. And I'm just rooting for all those like little guys and even your buddy. Like, yeah. I hope like one or two names get up there and beat out, like Chaosium.
Sure.
As awesome as they are. I think I'm not sure if they're doing Harlem Unbound or not. Chaosium's good. Monty Cook Games. These are the big guys. Wizards, another big guy. Paizo, another big guy.
Okay. Our Gen Con coverage is over.
Oh yeah.
So, last we ended on the planet Alpheus, this monster homeworld. The three of you were separated, but you're all surrounding this citadel called like the dark heart of the monster homeworld. And along this red carpet of almost paparazzi-like monsters, Brandy and Goldar were walking the center of attention, headed directly into this like tower-like structure, when a loud thumping and hammering and stomping came out, and with each step, this figure it's almost like a tall, slender, very like dark and macabre-looking figure, kind of grow larger and larger and larger as he approached, which we believe to be the Emperor, also named Alpheus, but in a different way, like Alpheus. Now, Alpheus had come up not recognizing Brandy immediately, but it becoming pretty easy to put two and two together that you must be the Power Ranger, even though you look like, was it Scorpiana? And now this towering figure is right next to you. Goldar is just kind of getting up, brushing himself off of all these eyes from the eye guy that basically were dispersed. There was a lot of sort of thundering in the crowd that turned into like an ovation from them as they all kind of revered the Emperor. Brandy, what do you do with this giant creature in front of you, looking intently, looking for you?
I had tried to disappear amongst everybody, and I don't remember doing a very good job of that.
Okay. So, what do you think happens then? If you didn't do a very good job, do you think you were just straight up in front of him for him to pick you up in the air and inspect you? Do you think that you got into the crowd and got thrown back in the middle, starting a little bit of a riot? Do you think that Goldar just exposed you? Like at the foot of his master, you were trying to escape into the crowd, and maybe he just was like, no, she's right there.
Well, I think probably a combination. Goldar was just picked up. So he probably shouts, points, and then I'm probably outed by the group that I'm trying to like disappear into.
Okay.
And pushed back out.
All right. So, yeah, as you can imagine then, I forgot. Yeah, he picks Goldar up, like almost like a little kid, kind of picked up by the scruff of his neck if he had some. It's really just armor and wings. And lifts him up and looks at him and asks him the question kind of seethingly. So, Goldar, where is she? Where is my Power Ranger? And as you kind of try to dive and get into the crowd to kind of hide yourself, they just keep parting like the Red Sea, exposing you, pointing their finger at you like some weird cult, all in lockstep of making sure that you are always visible. Even if you wind through the crowd, there's this winding road, which ultimately they will kind of entrap you in. Alistair, you were with Hoon. Hoon is the Silver Ranger, as far as we know, Silver Not Gray. And he, at one time, as part of the Lost Rangers, commanded the Silverback Zord. Now, the two of you were kind of left astray, to find your way back. You're kind of like in this desert trying to locate how you could get here. Did you have any ideas? I remember you had this interesting cube or ball of your sort of dark nightmare with the Brumley Coven, and unfortunately with your like negative shade also bound together.
I think we were talking about having to just go completely counter to our normal personality types to try to prevent. Like, there's no way we were thinking that Mesmero could have seen all possible futures, and so probably the most likely ones. So going along the lines of doing something out of character, you kind of look at the book that I have, the Demon Haunted World, that drew Hoon to me. And it's like a very cherished possession too, besides the call to logic and reasoning in it. It's also like an old signed copy.
Yeah.
And you kind of throw it up in the air and blast it.
Oh, okay.
At which point, I just ingest the pure magic energy.
All right.
And just fully embrace the arcane.
So you blast it to like destroy it?
Yeah, I
wow.
going
Okay.
completely against, like,
You're
something I would never
renouncing the
do.
mundane. You're like, you know what? I'm ready to be who I was born to be.
It's more of if it means saving the universe, I'll do it.
Okay. Why don't you give me an arcane roll? It sounds like probably imagined. It sounds like something you would have to just force yourself to throw yourself into.
Right.
Okay. And let's share that for all to see. But one success. Any tags that would help you?
Mystically infused.
Okay. Now, this is when I would look to the others and say, he has this negative tag called imposter. I feel like this is a straight up move to get rid of that. If we could help him as the audience by trying to vote it off now, or we can see if he succeeds and then maybe try to vote it off. What do you two think? I'm just curious about the other audience members with me.
I think it being such,
do we want to see him tested, or are we going to give him a pass? Say like, well, he did the right thing.
it's such an intrinsic character moment. I'm like, okay, it's like cool if he's tested, but at the same time, I'm like, what would that look like? Maybe you could test it, and it could be that, the shade is trying to like have you like completely stop being a Power Ranger at the same time. Like, it's just like you're trying to find a balance, and this thing's like, no, you'll want to be a full mage, kind of like in the dream.
In response to that, I guess kind of though, to remember, I did already bring up to try to find that balance of the Mystic Force Rangers in the last one too.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
we've, like last episode, we kind of hit all those notes. So I would say it's so intrinsic at this point, I would just give it to him.
Okay. Jess, you cool with that?
Yeah, I am. There's a lot of bravado and doing that to begin with, so I think we should give it to him.
Okay. So, Alistair, we spoke out the visual of 3 thumbs up of saying, we're going to get rid of your negative tag of imposter and let you embrace being a Mystic Ranger in your own mind. So re-roll that or roll that tag you're going to use, and I'm not going to get in the way. Awesome. Okay. 2 successes. What does it look like when you just obliterate this book? Which is kind of funny because Hoon it was the only thing that like woke him up and brought him to you. So you were like, "Well, that's great. Good story, man."
Yeah. So throwing it up, I think I'm just firing up because I'm still morphed, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And blast it with the crown, and at which point, then popping the helmet off to eat the cube, basically, infusing more mystic energy as putting the helmet back on, and as it permeates through and kind of merges with the ranger powers a bit, the suit kind of starts shifting and changing a little bit, and instead of being the purple ranger, the purple slowly turns white.
Okay.
And like a cape descends kind of down from the shoulders, like kind of Mystic Force style. And the crown actually like turns into like an energy flash and leaves the head and turns into like a staff type scepter type weapon. So looking more Hierophant-ish.
Yeah, Hoon steps back like, whoa, and is staring at you. That was the coolest thing I've seen in ages. I've only heard of transformations like that, but to see one in front of me, it's like I waited a lifetime to see that. Of course, in his sort of pseudo, probably Japanese accent, right? So his forever teenage Japanese accent.
I didn't know this would happen, but it's pretty cool. Cape. Capes are cool.
Oh, yeah. In good Power Ranger fashion, he's kind of like cheering you on as it kind of fades from the scene. Isaac, you had opened this box. The Machine Empire toolkit. And when you would open it, there was a schematic that looked very similar to some sort of a Zord construction that had just kind of fallen in your lap. Amidst this junkyard, which kind of surrounds and supports the infrastructure of the Citadel, you stand alone, kind of like lost in an ADHD sort of moment as you were just surrounded by goodies. What do you do?
Well, being in a junk field and keeping in mind our milestones and knowing that we're going to need all the power that we can get, Isaac is going to reach inside a pocket. And he is going to take out his Tinker Tools.
Okay.
And he is going to start using that, plus the tools of the Empire, plus some of the schematics he said, to prepare a very special scientific process that will make good use of all these junk Megazord parts.
Okay. What strategy do you think that will encompass?
I actually think that using these parts to construct something is a plan, okay. A very specific mechanical plan, especially working off of schematics. What would you say? Reason?
Yeah, I think it's reason.
Okay.
Kind of making a plan, looking at the schematics, surrounded by tools, using your knowledge.
And submit.
Ooh, okay. That is a critical success. Might I even say a perfect success. Think for a moment and listen to your friends as they tell you what they think would be the perfect thing that could happen for you right now. Lucid or Jessica, either one of you, if you have an idea, what do you think is like the best thing that can happen? He's looking at schematics that can make basically like a Megazord, and he's surrounded by parts that are made of this like, it's kind of like if there was like a Megazord factory of old that made all of the best things that just kind of faded one day, he'd be surrounded in parts of this company, which we call the Machine Empire.
Has anybody ever seen the show Psych?
Yeah.
So well, every time he like would notice something that everybody else missed, it kind of like zoomed in and flashed on it. So I'm picturing like a visual, like for the camera, like the audience watching, they see what he sees, and like he's looking around, and like it sees like this arm connector, and like zooms in and flashes with something other piece over here, and like he just sees they connect, and kind of doing that all throughout. And throughout all of this, he finds enough pieces to create at least one full Zord. Okay. But like visually, yeah, it's just like a lot of zoom ins and zooming around the junk and then flashing whenever it connects and stuff, and like kind of popping out for the viewers. Now, what they are, I don't know, but might be some real weird combination, but it looks to be functional if he puts it together.
Worth mentioning to you that like the three Rangers that have been here have been the Lost Power Rangers, who should have commanded Zords such as like the Silverback, the Lion, and the Giraffe. So. I would feel like story-wise those could all be free game of either being here like in some mess or like ripped from them or pieces, but also pieces from throughout like almost like time, because these Rangers have been here like beyond time for so long. So this is like a junkyard that's been picked from all over like the universe of different like monster battles and stuff. Jessica, what do you think? Do you like what he said, or would you add to that some way?
I would add to it.
Okay.
One of those items being like like the classic engine that they don't make like this anymore type, it's just one of those ones where people talk about it and they use like all the techno babble and they lay their heads on it and pet it and just something like that, just like the ultimate they don't make them like this anymore engine.
It's like the muscle car of Megazords.
Yes, exactly.
Now Pete, what is about to happen, right, is that Jessica is, Brandy, we should say, Brandy is kind of trapped, right? In the rumblings you've been kind of ignorant to, even though they've been loud and kind of earth-shaking and problemsome, you've been on the other side, and you should have heard them, but you were just so distracted. So just giving you more fuel as a player, like, you could notice these things. You could realize what is about to happen is that the Emperor has been looking forward to showing force to kind of reinforce his power as the monster Emperor. So he was looking to fight the Power Ranger in front of everyone to make an example of the Power Ranger. So, telling you all this, of course, you can tell me what really happens with you involved, or if you want to get involved before that happens.
So as Isaac is taking in all these parts and schematics, he's getting out his Tinker Tools, he starts working, he hears that, and then he hears like sort of the booming voice, and he starts to panic. He's like, I need a distraction. I need some parts. I need to hurry. Okay, and he starts like dragging all this stuff, and he's kind of mumbling to himself. He says, "We're gonna put this here, and oh man, that's Machine Empire. Well, they had some good ideas here, and I'll put this here. Well, this traditionally doesn't go up, but that works here, and okay." And he kind of like drags all these parts like in proximity with each other.
Yeah.
And then he goes, "All right, time for the final piece." And he kind of reaches into like sort of the satchel pocket, and he pulls out a sheet, small sheet, about the size of the hand. And it's the same sheet that's kind of been covering his science project for the better part of so many sessions, I guess.
Certainly, yeah.
And he goes, I really was going to use this as a demonstration, but I guess blind testing's better than nothing. And, like, he removes it. And underneath the sheet is this glowing crystal that shares all the colors of us three.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like pulsating. And then he goes, okay, I hope this crystal absorbed enough biofield energy from our respective powers. And he puts it in the middle. And it looks like it does nothing at first.
Okay.
But then it starts to crackle. Like with lightning from all the different colors that like we have. So, you know, it has like, the yellow, and then it has like purple white, and then it has all of it, and then black. And you just see some of the parts just start shaking, and then links up. And then another one like magnetically pulsates and links up. And then it's just like, and all these parts just kind of like start molding together until something gets created. And he kind of stands back, and maybe it's like off screen, and he looks up like after a little bit, and he's like, I think this is gonna work.
Awesome. So, do you need help with what it is, or do you have something that you want to unleash in a moment?
I think I'm going to unleash it here in a second.
All right.
In fact, as soon as it goes to Brandy, probably then.
Okay, all right. Lucy, did you have any ideas? What would be a cool way, you realizing your powers? I feel like in a very, Mighty Morphin Power Ranger episode way, it's almost like for whatever reason, now that you're ready, you would like zip here. Do you have any reason that you think that your character should just appear now at the moment of crisis?
Well, I figure maybe he can track them more easily now, since it's not just relying on having seen Isaac, use the Morphers to track stuff. It's actually more mystical. At which
Cool.
point he could potentially not just appear there, but like, holy crap, he can fly now.
Sure, yeah, right. And like you said, like maybe with your magical abilities, right? We know that
Right.
there's a lot of magic power here.
Right. It's not necessarily ranger power that lets him fly, but
Yeah.
he's channeling all the magic that he's denied.
It's very fitting, right? Like any new Power Ranger transformation, they would have the perfect ability they would need for that place. That's like the cool thing that happens, right? When you have the transformation. So it sounds cool.
And we
Maybe it's
just got
tied
an
to your
extra
staff.
toy out of the season too.
Oh, what'd you say?
And we just got an extra toy out of the season too.
Yeah,
Another
yeah.
ranger.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's tied to your staff. Is there something you could do with your staff to like sort of like thrust yourself into the air? At which, if you got high enough, right, you couldn't miss this.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to riff off of Thor and like say like I spin it and it pulls me or anything, but maybe it like I use it. It helps me like generate like an anti-gravity field or something like that, and like kind of grab onto Hoon and we go flying that way.
Yeah, as he whisk him away, he's like, "Have you ever thought about becoming a Lost Ranger?" We're still missing Hodge. Have no idea whatever happened to Hodge. As you're just kind of like, you have him by like the arm and they're just pulling him, but it doesn't. It's not painful, right? It's almost like Superman and Lois Lane kind of thing, except for you have him like grasped by like forearms or something. You go flying into the air, Brandy. This crowd just keeps circumventing and sort of cutting you off and making it apparent of where you are. The Emperor holding Goldar. Aha! Finally, I can find you. I can see you there. You think you can run? These are all my pawns. And he kind of waves his hands, almost orchestrating where they stop. So you find yourself almost like in a hedge maze of monsters. Hedge maze, not mage. Got magic on the mind. What do you do? He didn't take your morphin ability. He didn't take any of your stuff. I mean, you changed your clothes, but it doesn't mean that you couldn't still have your card and your morpher. What's funny about it is you being impulsive as that negative tag from before. You might walk right into exactly what he wants. Prove that you're a ranger, so he can show everyone that he's the real bad guy.
I specifically said earlier that on the previous session that I slipped my thing off.
Oh. Okay.
So I am not wearing my morpher at this moment. Where I'm hiding it at in this costume, I don't know. I'm not wearing.
So in your case, what strategy would help you keep your cool? Because what the Emperor's trying to do here is he's trying to get you to morph. So he's trying to scare you. He's trying to push you into a situation where you're going to panic and you're going to change because you have to. He's going to incrementally make this worse for you, but he's going to get bored if he doesn't realize you're in, if it's not enjoyable for him. So.
How do we pronounce his name? It's
Alpheus.
Alpheus. I know there's been some different pronunciations of it.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yes. Alpheus.
Alpheus.
Ketchup. Ketchup.
Yeah, there you go.
So she takes a moment, takes a deep breath, tries to center herself. Again, thinks that she's way too sober for all this and that she should have just stayed in the bar. And steps out towards him and says, "Emperor Alpheus, big fan. I have personally beaten down so many of your pawns. Really, it's been a pleasure. And stand here and actually see you in your throne room. Wow. Can I get your autograph? Because nobody's going to believe this."
What strategy do you think you're using?
A really stupid one. Let me see. Bad advice.
Okay. It's probably imagined bad advice, right? Flattery to the Emperor.
Yeah. Darn it. It's not going to let me do it. Hold on.
Bum, 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 bum. Okay. One success. Any tags to help you?
Dumb luck or hold my beer.
Okay. I think before that, I'm going to hold impulsive on you. Just like I said, he is trying to bait you. But to your benefit, you can't easily get to your morpher, right? So, first of all, reroll to see if you can keep that 4 under your 5 for your strategy.
Okay, so reroll my bad advice skill.
Yeah, I don't think you can roll it separate, so you might just have to just pick a random die to roll.
Okay.
Okay. I'm so sorry. It sucks when it's like one person is the person who just keeps getting all the crit fails, you know. Okay, so that makes 2 8s. So in your case, what's the worst thing that can happen? I was trying to play off of you being impulsive, right? You just giving that reaction when people try to bait you, and that's exactly what happened. So, what do you think is the worst that can happen out of it?
I don't know. Let's see. He could have his little minions attack me. He could.
He wants ultimately he wants to show everyone what he can do to a Power Ranger, right? To show everyone, you see, all you idiots can't defeat them ever, but me, I can squash one. He wants to show power. So anything that kind of makes you fumble with your, show that you're a ranger, but like not do your job well,
Take a shot at me. I don't know what kind of powers he has, but
Okay, fellas, what about you two? Any thoughts? What's the worst that can happen?
She kind of impulsively morphs like he wants
Yeah,
her
she hits
too.
it on accident or something.
Like she's like, it's like, all right, that's it, and she kind of like runs, and he's just like, and I have her, just because of size difference.
Yeah, Lucid, what do you think?
Kind of the opposite of that. I was thinking like she gets either blasted at or something like that, and if she maybe it either blasts her back or she tumbles out of the way. But either way, it sends her morpher scattering from where she has it hidden.
Sure.
Ooh.
And like one of the monsters gets it, or she just can't reach it, or something like that.
Okay.
And so then it's obvious she's a ranger because she has a morpher, but she can't morph.
Yeah, right. Weak.
And she did kind of give herself out that she was a ranger. She's like, she, spoke, directly to him. She mentioned beating up his pawns, and so I mean, she had. I did tap the impulsive part with her admitting that she's a ranger, but I did not morph her. And like I said, her morpher was hidden, so I could see him totally blasting me and the morpher scattering and making it even more obvious.
Okay, so towering above, like you in this almost sort of maze of monsters that are all taller than you. So, while they're all like 8 and 10 feet tall, you're of human height. So running around them, it is like a hedge maze where you can't see above their heads. And occasionally you run into a brick wall with, monsters that have weapons notably in your way that if you just kept running, you'd run into weapons, right? And not wanting to morph, not wanting to show yourself to the Emperor for what you are, you're forced running up and down these aisles. And the Emperor, almost like looking at, like hovering above like a small chessboard, right? Is like kind of breathing down over you and starts prodding one of his fingers in your general direction. And when he eventually he just starts shooting out of his like fingernail, like these sort of darts. But when they hit the basically this pathway, it's all getting kind of Alice in Wonderland large to you. And when these hit, they just kind of like a giant, almost like a spear, kind of sticks into the ground, blocking your path. And he's doing it to toy with you, but the first one that he launches knocks the morpher out of your outfit, in whichever place you had it hidden, and unbeknownst to you, you didn't even know that you had lost it. So somewhere in this back and forth of running around, it had just slid, fell, got tossed off of you, until the point where he gets fed up. And I've had enough of this. And like a giant knocks a whole row of all these monsters out. And just like, not really smashes, but like a side swipe. and you and a whole bunch of them just kind of get thrown off to the side and out of the, just kind of like off of the, there's no longer this strip of monsters. Show yourself! I can make more monsters. But if you make this a game that I can't win, you're the loser, not me. And he starts stomping towards you like a giant that wants to fee-fo-fum you. Isaac, you can pop in, or Alistair, you can pop in as well. Brandy,
May I pop in?
what do you do when, obviously you get kind of thrown and you realize you don't have your morpher?
She gets up, pushes whatever weird monster she might have landed on or landed on her, and she dusts herself off, and of course now she's realizing that the morpher is missing. And because she's obviously dusting herself off, be looking for it, this and that. And she's like, if I make this a game you can't win, that sounds like somebody might be just a little nervous. You don't think one little Power Ranger could possibly beat you, do you? I mean, truth be told, if she does this, I don't even have my morpher. I'm just a human.
As he's starting to stomp towards you, well then, good riddance, human. You don't need to exist on my world, Isaac.
Aw, but wouldn't it be more fun for me to find my morpher?
Oh, cool. Go ahead.
As she kind of scans through it, like maybe like looking for a morpher, kind of going off of what Brandy said, for some of the Zord ideas, like just you hear this kind of like revving engine almost, like and just like as like maybe he's like kind of towering over, he like you just see this big yellow like golden like Zord just like come through like one of the walls and just kind of like and it's like going kind of like off the chariot motif, like it is its hind legs are wheels, like just big hot rod wheels with like Machine Empire like just mufflers kind of sticking out, and it's just this big rabid looking like possum Megazord.
Oh, it's so good for Louisiana.
And it kind of like has that like white tuff, but it's like just like a lighter like braised gold, and like Isaac's just in control, and it like he kind of like moves it like he's trying to control it, and then he says, "You want to deal with the Power Ranger?" He's just like, "Let's go!" And the thing like kind of gnashes its teeth and just starts like with its little possum paws just running as like the little wheels on the back just.
Okay, there is a giant foot that is trying to step and squash out the little voice of Brandy. What do you do with your Zord as it just pops into the scene?
He just immediately like go. I mean, I imagine Emperor Office is probably bigger, but he just kind of like swoops under and just like tries to like bite and claw at the Emperor, and try to get him off of Brandy. Like just kind of like moves him up. He's like, whoa, and just.
Awesome. So in your case, what strategy do you think that is?
You know what? Just because he's not used to piloting this particular Zord quite yet, I think it would be a bumble strategy. Like he's kind of bumbling with the control. And he's like, okay, I think this does this, and okay, and this moves here, and I think I found the teeth, and he like presses the button hard. Imagine a reason.
In your case, I'm gonna say, I guess. Well, I feel like reason because you put it together. Like,
let's see. So he tries to protect Brandy so she could find her morpher. Ding! This is a weird day. A very weird day for
That's amazing. Okay.
myself.
All right. So, given that we play shorter sessions online, right? I generally always use the optional rule where if you one-shot a challenge, it's by just getting a crit in the first attempt. So, as I'm building the challenge, why don't we just let you one-shot the Emperor here? What happens? Like, he's trying to stomp on Brandy. The Power Ranger jumps into action with some crazy, like, possum backwheel muscle car Zord. Take it away.
Awesome sword.
So, trying to like get us to the actual threat of the throne room to kind of get in there. Like he kind of bumbles with the controls to the point where like maybe even like the Megazord kind of takes on a mind of its own. Where it's just like it almost embodies like an actual like angry possum.
Yeah.
To the point where he's kind of like just like kind of jumps out of the way of the Emperor as he kind of like smashes down a fist, bites him. He's like kind of like hits him with the tail, and it's just moving around so much. And he's if it was like mano, he probably'd have like an upper hand because of his strength. But because he's not used to moving as fast as maybe like this thing, like every time he like tries to crush it, just kind of revs out of the way, moves, and then does like a parallel and then backs up, and eventually he just kind of gets tripped up and just kind of like falls. And like best case scenario, if he does, like I'm gonna try to get like all of us to the throne room. So maybe like after that, like the possum, like the pouch area opens up. It's actually like a hangar, and like like the hangar opens up, and like what do you call it? Isaac's like, "Come on, Brandy, we gotta get to the throne room."
Trying to find my morpher, and I had this, by the way.
I know you did. I find it fast, quick. We still gotta link up with Alistair. Oh my gosh! Oh, too much Isaac there.
Speaking of Alistair, Alistair, where are you? And you feel like a massive ripple, as if like some kind of like magical shock wave that just blasts from the core of this planet outward.
I think I'd probably be getting pretty close to their signal at this point.
Sure, we could say you're there for that purpose.
Is it feeling the shockwave? And I kind of asked Kuhn, like, did you feel that?
No, I didn't feel anything. Was it bad?
Probably. I don't know. I don't know what it was. This planet, that is probably bad. And like kind of arriving to the building that they're in, maybe like blasting down through the roof.
Yeah.
And like kind of descending down, and I see that there's some crazy looking Zord that has to be Isaac's handiwork.
Sure.
But it's like clearly a mishmash of parts, and like those two arms don't normally work like that, but I guess they make sense as possum forearms, so stuff like that. And I see like
who looks at you, right? He's like, never heard of a possum Zord before.
Leave it to Isaac. And Orpheus falls, and do I see like all the monsters and Brandy kind of like,
not in costume?
Right.
So the Emperor had kind of waved a bunch of them off, right? As like one big swooping like a wave of them. So there's a bunch of them that are still kind of lined up. Now when I feel like when that swoop got pushed aside, it's perfect that like just busting into the scene out of that openness of area came Isaac in this possum Zord muscle car that just drove right in. And in some ways, like you were saying, fighting, but even like you're almost like a roller skate, right? That just clearly leads to the Emperor falling. Now, the Emperor was being a total dummy and being the kind of monster that he detests, which is he was literally just going to stomp you out. Like he wasn't paying you your due. And then was totally blindsided by there being actually another Power Ranger who was prepared. and clearly falls backwards, toppling over. Somewhere, Mesmero is laughing, but not happily, nervously, because that trap failed. That trap was meant to buy him the time necessary and possibly even defeat the three of you. But instead, you toppled him like you would topple any other stupid pawn monster of the Emperor's. So, yeah, the Emperor is really kind of stunned, at least for a moment, as he's thrown backwards, literally falls on his back, hits his head, kind of like is shaking his head to rumble and get up while buying you all this time to go right into the Citadel if you like. Alistair, you're on top. There could even be like glass or like an open ceiling if you want to just like blast land into the throne room, which of course, like any maniacal evil emperor, he would take all of his people with him outside. So
well, I was thinking, like, if Brandy's she's scattering for her Morpher, if I see her, and if there's any monsters, like, kind of trying to stop her, like, blast at the monsters as I descend down.
Sure.
To give her the chance to.
Brandy,
So.
What strategy do you use to try to find your Morpher? Or, of course, Isaac, you were there with your Zord. If you have any gadgetry or anything to try to help her.
Scanners.
I was gonna say, I want to do brawling, if anything else, just start beating the crap out of people to get them out of my way.
It shows itself.
Yes.
I like that much better.
Okay, do you want me to go ahead and do it?
Sure, yeah. I was just reading your note. Fun fact, possums are almost entirely immune to rabies.
The more you know.
Yeah, well, I have my oldest daughter really liked possums for a while. So when you've got a kid that's into something, you get into it too. Anyway, would that be imagined or reason? I think
it'd be imagined for it to find your Morpher, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd need a little dumb luck for it to show itself quickly, which you just might have. What negative tags do you have?
Negative tags?
Yeah.
I have shame, impulsive,
And the first one was shame, right?
and oh no, that's it. Yeah, shame.
No, I think you're fine, right? It sounds impulsive. It's definitely masochistic, and your shame is really. I mean, that's the problem, right? It's just like, damn it, I lost my Morpher. Clearly, how do you end up finding it? Just like one of them pick it up and you just uppercut him and take it back, or like how do you?
Yes, I could totally see that. One of them's trying to put it on. He's all like, "Hey, I could be a Power Ranger." I'm like, black's not your color. I don't know.
Just to pick on Eye Guy some more, right? Like you see Eye Guy holding it, and you punch him, and eyeballs just go flying everywhere. Isaac, you see her as she basically like runs up Eye Guy, blows him up into a million eyes, has something in her hand, and is rushing towards the car. I'm sure you're like driving around to pick her up, right?
Oh yeah, just
right.
like again, she just gets pouched up.
The Emperor starts to sit up, and he's giving you sort of a bridge, as his foot is flat to the ground, and he's kind of picking himself up. You could probably drive right up his body and launch yourself to the top of the Citadel. Of course, that might be risky.
And Brandy's like, "Hey, look, a ramp," and I'm like, "That doesn't look like a ramp, Brandy."
It's totally a ramp.
Okay. Like everything's like shaking. He's like, ah.
Okay. I need a strategy that would help you do this, because of course the Emperor is going to try to smash this possum that is literally like a possum on a human being right now. Like, is running up him, and he's of course going to try to like push you off or slap you or punch at you. How do you try to maneuver or do something so that that's ineffective?
Since this is technically a plan, a terrible plan, but a plan nonetheless, I'll use that strategy to calculate the best route of his leg for a ramp.
I like that you're calculating it, though. Okay. Since you said calculate, I'm going to say it's reason.
Okay.
You didn't say, I'm just going to look and try to make the best of it.
The math doesn't check out. Ooh.
All right.
Okay.
And you
No
having no
success.
negative tags, I got nothing to hold against you right now. You come driving right up. See, I don't know if you go up the back of his head or the side of his face or over his features. He's got one arm kind of resting on the citadel, and you basically, as you're driving up his face, clearly can see into the inside of what looks like this sort of open top end, which has all the makings of a throne room. You're pretty sure it's got a long telescope too, which is kind of a throwback. But
I'm going to as Isaac does that, then he's gonna just ride it all the way to the Citadel, screaming the entire time, of course, like just going, ah! Like it's like pans out, you see the like possum Megazord just that, and you just hear in the distance like, ah! And Maven uses like the tail to kind of stabilize or grab on, like a possum kind of hangs upside down.
yeah,
Like it's like a little whip tail, kind of like the whip he uses, and it just kind of like circles around the Citadel, and it's like kind of scurrying up until it gets to where we need to go.
shouts out of Possum Zord's window. Hey Goldar, you're pathetic. Scorpina's better off without you.
Oh shit! Cold.
Yeah. Goldar's on the ground.
I don't know
somewhere,
if Possum Zord actually has windows or not, but if he does, she leans out and says,
Yeah,
"Hey, Goldar, you're pathetic. Scorpina's better off without you."
Look,
She just sticks her head up out of the pouch.
like,
just
Some angry baby possum.
he stands up and in the sort of Japanese fashion of like cartoon-esque live action, kind of like spins around and throwing his arms around erratically. Oh no, not another girlfriend! As he like reaches out, feeling that he's lost another woman in his life.
Goldar took 4 spirit damage from that bird.
Yeah. And then he slips on some of Eye Guy's eyeballs and falls to his back and disappears. So in the throne room, 3 rangers show themselves. Well, 2 of them by way of car. I imagine some flying possum Zord that's going to pull some kind of sliding J-turn sort of maneuver. But Alistair, you had a little time on them. So what did you do after you were able to kind of like help throw blasts of energy that were helping Brandy change her?
Well, I was thinking, because I want to hook up with them, and I figure they're probably going to the throne room, but I don't know for sure. So like maybe they don't even see me there, but as the Possum Zord like kind of took to the air,
Yeah.
like I came up behind it and like latched me and Hoon onto it, and so we're hanging on the whole time on the outside.
Cool.
And so we all actually end up arriving at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, so as you were in the air about to land in your just sort of sliding fashion in the throne room, you also find that you have 2 hitchhikers, but of the good kind, the Power Ranger kind, as Hoon and Alistair are hitched on. Alistair looking notably different. The Hierophant looks white, not purple, and now with a fancy cape and more pronounced features of the armor. And with a scepter or staff?
Yeah, scepter instead of the crown, like a staff-type scepter.
Okay. You had not seen Hoon before, but you see a person that's got a little bit more of like a tribal coating to the outfit. It's like bad tribal tattoos. Instead of like the circle, like the polyhedral shapes that kind of make the original Power Ranger outfits, there's like tribal bands that go along this, and it's a silver outfit that does look a little kind of like just gray, but he likes silver, not gray. So they're hitching on, and you land, and I can only imagine that you have to do about anything you have to do to make this not go out the other side of the Citadel. But given that you're a Power Ranger in a Zord, that's not difficult. It just looks good. The 3 of you are in the throne room. Alistair, that magic pulse is emanating stronger than ever, and it's hitting you so hard right now. It feels like a hard wind pushing against you. Like in this room now, it's like this resistance that you can just feel throughout you because you have this magic throughout your whole body.
Right.
The others look unaffected. They look more affected about the the car landing, sliding.
Isaac shaking.
And so they're all moving normal, and I'm like trying to walk towards them, and it's just like the kind of thing against the wind, like walking real slow.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing?
Brandy, Alistair, and a friend.
It's a lost stranger. Mm.
Yeah.
It's an honor, Mr. Hoon.
He gives you a little bit of a bow and a handshake, as you probably or whatever. Maybe you don't handshake. Maybe you being the I don't know. Did you stick your hand out, or were you more like?
I'm like, oh yes, handshake.
Fanboy.
Yeah, I found Alistair out in the wild. For some reason, I couldn't see anyone. It was like I forgot that everyone. I forgot that there were monsters. I forgot that I was here. I was like in a giant desert world. And then I saw that book by Carl Sagan.
Isaac tries to play it cool. Thank you for returning him.
It's just...
Did your voice just deepen?
No.
God, I think Isaac finally got through puberty. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks.
Which ranger are you? I've never heard of a possum sword.
Oh, Chariot Ranger. And this is kind of a creative take. Actually, the power source I used for the Zords is derived from like the local morphing grid. There was a small pool of fauna to draw from. It was either this or a couple others. And it came with wheels. And, chariot. Anyway, the point is, we're here in the throne room. And, we're close to where we need to be.
Oh, yes. Of course. Alistair was saying something about this. Who was the character? Was it Mesmero?
Mesmero. He's close. We saw underneath the throne.
Does it feel like that's where it's emanating from?
Oh, the Akashic Records. You saw it as well. Yeah, as you're all kind of like getting out of the sword and looking over towards the throne, you can see the throne is even like thrust ajar.
Okay.
And notably, there is like almost like a light coming out from underneath. This is like a lot of this planet by the Citadel. It's very dark in nature of like whatever the craftsmanship of this tower almost has kind of like a veiny nature to it, as if it was made out of like a dark black like mud. But it's obviously kind of organic. The more I talk about it, the more I think of it like if you've played Breath of the Wild. It's almost got like this sort of living muck nature to it. That's sturdy, but occasionally you can kind of almost see like a beat of like a pulse through it, through its veins, if you will. So
the more and more I hear about this tower, the more I'm like, oh no.
there is sort of a red carpet that's laid up, between you and the throne chair. The throne is made out of something that's golden. Like, it looks like beautiful, gold right out of Smaug's hoard. And below it, there's obviously some sort of like flashlight, brilliant white light that's coming underneath. So it's very noticeable with the backdrop of everything else.
I'd like to say that I imagine when we get out of the possum sword,
Yeah.
that Isaac like hits a little key fob and we hear the little this big mangly patchwork junkyard possum with the car alarm.
Yeah. Outside, the Emperor is getting up, wiping his face, looking at all of his monster minions. Don't look at me. It was a Power Ranger. She had help. Some kind of Megazord. As he's like getting up slowly and trying to defend himself. You can all hear this as this voice is loud, but it is shrinking as he's probably returning to size. Do the three of you go to the throne chair?
We need to hurry. I can feel the magic pulsing from down there. It's hard for me to even move against it.
So it's under the throne, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
We better
She
get
puts
that.
her morpher on and she says, "I'm so keeping this outfit though." And then Brandy goes ahead and morphs.
So when you morph, that's sorry, in my head I saw you morph and you still had the outfit over your costume. Alistair, as you approach the throne, you can't help but hear the voice of like the shade in your head, and like even Hoon and Isaac and everyone are just kind of following in tow. But like everything that led you to this moment is that, wait, like we saw this. He had to have seen this. Like we have, if there was ever a moment for a trap, you're just thinking to yourself, there has to be something about to happen here.
Well, did we see us going to it in the visions? Okay. But yeah, we should. There's been enough traps that have been triggered. We need to check.
Now, maybe, of course, like, it's very unlikely that Mesmero would have known about you embracing your magic side, about you becoming this Hierophant, improved Power Ranger, if you having maybe even the magical senses to really notice and feel everything that's going on. But, I mean, come on. Like, if there was ever a bottleneck where, like, there could be some kind of a trap. Like, it just kind of dawns at you as all of you are kind of smiling for once together again, walking towards it gleefully and go, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, kind of like throw an arm back for to just tell everybody to stop and pull up the staff and kind of hold it out forwards and just try to extend the senses for any trap spells, basically.
Okay. Go ahead and make an Imagine Arcane Arts. I think that's what you called it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, damn it, did I just make it a D&D term? I don't. Hoon, what is it? What do you notice?
I'm just gonna buy it.
Okay.
A double success.
Sure. You making it a double or a crit?
Just a double.
Okay. Buying it, you reach out with your senses, and the others will feel now this magical wave of energy. You actually, what's interesting is you don't feel a trap, and it makes you dig deeper, which gives you like sort of an like a slim glimpse of like divination. You instead, like almost as if your magic, you kind of put it out there like it was like you could feel it, like astrally projecting or something. And like as if like if we go down that tunnel, wait, nothing happens. But if you go down that hole, it's going to trigger Mesmero to do the next thing then. And what you see is that the planet seems like it's gonna like sort of start having like an earthquake or some kind of like planetary action where like the planet itself is going to start either ripping apart or like blowing up or imploding or like growing or something. Like you get this glimpse of like everything, sure, earth shaking and the monsters and everyone running and like the world is kind of like bending and turning.
I kind of relay that like it doesn't seem to be trapped, but I guess he can tell if we go down there, and he kickstarts the next phase of his plan, which has the entire planet morphing.
Thank you. So since you bought it, right, we can say that like you think it's just you, but everyone else sees and feels that. And with you saying that, Isaac, the thought in your head is, what if this planet could become a Zord?
That'd be a big Zord.
Yeah.
Unicron Zord.
I always loved the Transformers.
The thick Zord. I kind of relay that as well. I'm like, wait, if you're saying somehow that he's prepared for this, is going to transform the Megazord in some way, the energies I see, it looks like some of the schematics I've used for a Megazord. That doesn't make any sense. Why would it look like that?
Unless the planet is a Zord.
That's what?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
There's a dude out there that's like covered in eyes, and the eyes pop off and run around. So yeah, this planet could totally be a Zord. I'm as sober as I've been in a while. This planet's a Zord. Fine.
Now, some of you, if not all of you, I don't know if Brandy heard it yet, but I mean, I'm pretty sure Alistair and Isaac both had that conversation or heard something that was like that Alpheus was something below that was kind of breeding the monsters here. That the Emperor was kind of like almost a puppet, like a crony, even though he doesn't think he is. Was that Alistair? Was that your conversation with Huon?
I think so.
Okay, because I'm like, maybe it wasn't. Maybe Isaac. Did you hear that too, or am I just thinking you did? Okay, yeah. So then it must have been Alistair. So,
what does the terrain of the planet kind of look like again? That I've seen so far.
Yeah.
Like just that I've seen.
It has sort of this dark, muddy sort of surface that has, especially towards where the Citadel is, more and more veins. It very much could be living. With no obvious head or features like a human, like it makes sense.
You've read the files, pretty much everything that we have, right, Isaac?
Yeah, I mean almost obsessively.
Wasn't there something beyond Megazord size that kind of looked like this, black and molten veins, and that led like the Alliance or something?
Whoa, that's ancient history almost.
I think the Space Rangers, right?
Long time ago. I mean,
maybe this is how something like that's created.
You think?
Maybe this is an egg.
That's great. Thanks.
That would be bad on the count of we don't have anything like, well, Mentor powerful, but no offense to him, but he's no Zordon. If this is an egg, that is really, really, really bad, Alistair.
If it's an egg, can't we crack it?
Stop.
I mean, if it's, hopefully, if it's related, I think, didn't Zordon have to die to kill the last one?
Yes! Yes, he did. And if something like that comes back, you'd be looking at another Ranger War. Oh, that'd be very bad.
If it's an egg, that means that it's still like an incubated form. It's still a baby, basically, right?
My greats would suffer. They'd suffer so much.
Hoon chimes in. So we always knew that there was some reason why the monsters can't leave in masses to go to any one planet at any one time. They can't go as all of them. Otherwise, they'd run over a planet. They'd destroy the Power Rangers there. We only succeed because a handful of Rangers can fight off anything they can do as long as they're rationed as they are. We know that that's a limitation that's always been here. But I didn't know why. Nobody knows how. So if this lieutenant of the Emperor, what could he possibly want with all this? I'm sure power, but he just kind of strokes his face, not trying to put it together.
I mean, if whether it's a Zord or an egg, or maybe the monsters can't leave in mass because they're basically antibodies.
What if we make it sick?
I'm just picturing a montage of like killing every single monster on the planet now.
That's an awesome montage too. Like
Mesmero would never expect it.
The Rangers are escalating a battle? What? That never happens.
The Akashic Records didn't predict this.
We go down there. It's gonna start.
We can try to surprise them. Maybe I could dig.
Maybe a multi-pronged. If we could, some way to get our zip lines to open up down there.
That's a great idea. I mean, dangerous. Very dangerous.
Might zip into a wall.
We might zip into the stone and, well, it might get a little messy after that, but... But if that's the only way to stop another war like last time, you think you could pull that off, Alistair?
What is it Brandy always says? Hold my beer.
I'm scared now.
And so, yeah, I'd start pull out, like, access the Morpher with the app and everything, and just start looking for, like, multiple, like, translocation spells and, like, tracking spells to try to make this massive spell to basically find this location that's probably magically shielded to begin with, that we could actually access or deliver the location to our systems to just zip straight to it, not giving him time to potentially react to activate it.
Well, I was going to say something convenient about it is all of you are, the four of you are all rangers, and there was that frequency of how you even got here was like you were able to follow Percival's frequency, which since this is where he was from, his like lost ranger frequency took you back to this world. That tie has Hoon right there, and you think that using basically Hoon's frequency, you should be able to zip right to it.
We can do that.
Out of character, I'm thinking Mesmero is the other Lost Ranger turned evil.
Flips computer. No!
In character, he's not thinking that at all, but I just had that.
There's
I
one
thought
missing.
that earlier too.
There's one missing that Hoon called Hodge earlier in this session.
Mm-hmm. But Hodge was still missing.
Yeah.
Hodge was supposedly from what you can tell, piecing together both Hoon's and Percival's story, was the first one thrown, and they both believe that Hodge was just thrown randomly through the gate, because there's that one gate that the three of you had seen, at least in that story, and two of you, I think, saw it in person. I think, Alistair, you weren't here that meeting. I think the other two saw it, that there was actually that sort of swirly gate stand that was here. But, yeah, one of them supposedly fell through and didn't actually go through the portal. One of them got launched to Earth, and the other one supposedly was just randomly thrown out there.
Yeah.
As Percival and Hoon say, at least.
Yeah. So, yeah, using that signal combined with the spells and everything else, try to do that to let our zip line just get us straight there.
I guess, giving you the information, I should... Alistair, do you have any sort of, like, cunning strategy? Any sort of, like, mastermind brains strategy?
What if I just double successed it?
Well, that's the best thing you could do. Is it a double success or a critical?
Go with double again.
Okay, so with the double, you thinking about how to do this makes you think that, wait a minute, what if we're the ties? What if they can't leave? But what if Mesmero sent the Lost Rangers out because you're like a train route? A train route sounds like probably to Earth. If you can do this, what says that maybe him looking at the Akashic Records and having sent them out in some, who knows, what, because the one's missing, you don't know. One's here, one's there, one's somewhere between, and the three of you are here. And you may have shown him how to do it. Now, what he would take or how he would use that, as far as you understand, it'd be like Power Ranger. You basically use Power Ranger frequencies with morphers. But you were just talking about like some ancient Power Ranger egg thing.
Yeah, grasping at straws.
Yeah.
But
I throw that at you because with a double success, you actually have this radical thought. You can't quite put it together, but it just gives you more pause. As now minutes have gone by, as the three of you are just standing in the throne room, staring at it, talking, just out loud.
So I'm like out of character, a little confused by what you were explaining.
Oh, sure. You just had this thought as you were thinking about how you could use these frequencies to maybe transport yourself directly to wherever like the heart of it is, where Mesmero is. And then it crossed your mind, what if somehow that's exactly what he wanted you to do, maybe this was all a plan to somehow plot out a map of how he could send everything back to your planet, home, or Earth.
Yeah, between all the different thoughts that Alistair's had, it's kind of at a standstill now for what to do.
Sure. No, that's very fitting.
Alistair, is everything okay? Are we gonna zip?
I don't know.
You do have the human computer next to you, and you also do have Little Miss Impulsive.
Yeah.
Who do you consult with?
Both of them. I mean, they're both teammates, so I just kind of lay it out there and like this same kind of babbling way I did with the whole egg thing, and it's just kind of like, well, what if he wants us to zip line down there? The Lost Rangers are everywhere. We found it through here, and I've tracked you through the morphers before, and you've done that. And what if he's using that to bypass the limit and send more monsters to Earth and open the floodgates? And I don't know. It seems like every action's wrong right now.
That's because we're being rational, I think. I mean, we want to go there. We have to stop them.
Isaac, it's the thought that just hits your head when you say that is you just did what Power Rangers would do. You would try to save the day. You find a random Lost Ranger that baits you to go to the monster homeworld to fix the problem of the monster who ran away instead of coming to you to fight. It's starting to basically, when he says that, you're like, wait, no, we did exactly what Power Rangers do. We just ran right at the problem and tried to fix it.
How can we solve the problem without acting like Power Rangers?
Brandy,
roll Imagine Bad Advice.
Oh, I've got an idea.
Yeah, as soon as he said, how can we solve the problem without acting like Power Rangers, I look at Brandy and I go, Brandy?
Okay, you got one. Anything that would help you come up with something that was like kind of reasonable out of this.
Down luck or hold my beer? Because my idea is probably a hold my beer.
Okay, go with hold my beer. The thing that's fitting about hold my beer is so it's kind of like, hey, you two, hold on a second, is kind of the hold my beer moment, right? So from what you're hearing is, if we gotta do something, maybe we just fucking sit here and drink. Like, that's kind of what you're thinking. Like, maybe the problem is, if he's waiting for us, maybe we don't go to him.
Let's just go home.
You imagine Bonnie. You imagine Bonnie waiting for you outside the juice center, your AA sponsor, knowing where you're going to be. Just stand there. Hey, anybody seen her yet? I know she's coming here. She always comes here at 4 o'clock. And if you just didn't show up, would she stay there overnight? Would she stay there?
Well, if he needs the Power Rangers, maybe we should just put the seat over it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. All right, so we've got two options here, guys. The first one, I think, is we take our possum Zord and we just dig down there because it's a possum Zord, right?
Yeah.
And we just rip them out. Forget ziplining. The second one is we use some tech or magic and we melt that chute shut so he can't come back out and he's stuck under the throne. And we go home.
I was thinking the best way to stop this whole thing earlier was to go against type and do what we normally wouldn't do, and leaving the bad guy alive to his plan. We wouldn't normally do that.
Alistair, do you have like any sealing techniques? Like maybe putting him in a giant, I don't know, space basement? Maybe if we like put this chair back and seal him in, that'd be unpredictable.
I don't know what kind of power he has, I can try to set a barrier around it.
Brandy,
Of course, we can use our blasters to seal the throne around it. That doesn't mean somebody else won't break it.
I wouldn't do a magical seal. I would just melt it.
Brandy, you happen to notice that something sticks out from behind the throne, out of the hole, and you see what looks like two kind of like purple like feather ears, and it only takes a moment to see two whirling eyes of obviously the hypnogriff.
Griffey, buddy,
When
come on
you
out.
see him,
Look at
he
those
ducks
googly
back down in
eyes.
the hole.
Oh no, come on. She starts keying up her blaster. We're sealing him in. I hate that guy.
Oh, okay.
She goes over and shuts the hole.
With your blaster?
Yeah, but before we put the throne back over it, but still go to seal it, is there any panels you can spare on your Zord, Isaac?
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much made of, like, ancillary panels that I may or may not have put there as decoration.
Let's seal it with a panel, and then slide it over with the throne, so it doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the throne.
Good idea.
The other monsters have no reason to mess with it.
And it's gold, too. I mean, that's good for Emperor colors, right? And I put, like, a little golden plate there.
Then we push
Brandy
the
is
throne back on
singing.
top of it.
She's so happy. She's like singing while she's like melting it. She's like, da da da, screw you and your googly eyes.
Hopefully that holds for at least 10,000 years.
I don't care if it holds for 10 minutes. This is just my petty revenge.
Hoon looks to the three of you. But without him, how will I ever find my Hodge? How will I ever get back to Percival?
We can probably get Percival here. And if this is the best option, I mean, better this than him completely releasing the monsters, right? I mean, that's your purpose, to keep everything here, to keep the Power Rangers informed.
And couldn't I don't know, but I mean couldn't Alistair use like your vibe to find your Hodge?
What I was thinking wouldn't be for Alistair to say, but it would be something that Isaac might come up with was, well, if we tracked this signal here and we can detect the signal of Percival on Earth, and it's 2 points, but maybe we can find a matching or similar signal along the transit route also, or basically a triangulation without 3 points.
Yeah.
Isaac then said exactly what he said.
Okay. What do you want to do with that? Do we have a role we need? I mean, where are we going with that?
I think that would be more of an Isaac thing, I think, than any of us.
Isaac?
All right, one sec, hold up. He breaks out like a little computer that kind of like flops down from like the hind leg of the...
I was going to say from the Zord itself, yeah, maybe you could connect to the Mega Board if you needed to.
All right, do some math here. Let's come up with a plan. Strategy. Beep, 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 beep,
Randy, you can
beep,
notice
beep,
that, yeah,
beep,
like
beep.
there's like some thudding against the panel where the throne is, and the throne kind of rumbles a bit, but clearly like it's like solid. You can only imagine in your head, you can kind of hear the voice of like the hypnogriff probably being like, boss, this is real solid.
She sits languidly on the throne.
So while Isaac's doing his thing and we hear that, and I kind of look at Brandy and, you want to add another panel over that? Just
Yeah. She actually solders the legs of the throne down to the ground, and then puts her butt back on it. So panel, legs, sits.
I will spend 2 of my 8 belief
Yeah.
to do a critical success.
Okay. What do you think it does? Like, how does this look? Ultimately, you're trying to triangulate the location, right? That's correct, right?
Yes, trying to to triangulate that and maybe get it to like there's like the zip portal. Maybe it's like the star pouch. The pouch becomes the portal.
So there's the gate, right? The gate location out in the desert, kind of not far from where you first came here. That gate is the only gate you know of so far that's here. They can go somewhere else. That Mesmero physically took the other rangers to launch them out, or the three, if that's the case. If you were there, and with this, with basically your possum Zord giving you like more sort of network reach, right? Like it's boosting your signal, you can triangulate that the third Hodge should be on the moon. Your moon. Now, of course, how you want to get to that and what that looks like, you can tell me. But that's ultimately what you get out of it, is that Hodge actually was sent to Earth's moon.
All right, guys. We've got to get back to the portal. According to my calculations, in order to get Hodge back, I'm going to need to get there. Looks like... Oh, he's on our moon. I'm sorry, Earth's moon. What do you call it Terra here? I don't know. So I'll be like, everybody hop in. We're gonna get out of here.
I take a selfie on the Monster King's throne, complete with like the little.
Brandy, we gotta hurry.
Hold on. I want to remember this moment for the rest of my life, as short as it may be. And then she runs after him.
When you leave the Citadel, you see outside that like all of the monsters have gone running. And you see the Emperor is obviously throwing like a temper tantrum and is like stomping through the monster village, like chasing out all of his stupid idiot monsters, pulling his best impression of Godzilla as he is just going on a rampage because obviously the three of you kicked his butt and he is not letting them not suffer his wrath for it. So,
as a monster planet should be. So just kind of riding down. Just kind of vertically riding down the tower because shenanigans. Or maybe like spikes in the tires. I don't know.
Cool, yeah. Or use a possum Zord. Maybe like it has like a tail.
Like, it should totally have a tail.
It's a whip tail.
Hangs upside down and like lowers itself or something, yeah.
Possum tails are not prehensile, so they really can't do that, but this one.
So montage, right? You get back to the gate. Now, at the gate for Biomed Critical, you can actually kind of see you can kind of gauge how much energy was sent to each location. And the moon had more energy than the Earth did with Percival. Which basically means more energy, more mass. More was sent to the moon.
So, Isaac takes out 2 Machine Empire-looking jump cables. Looks at the portal confusedly, like opens one up, it clamps to one of the edges, clamps to the other edges. He just kind of shakes his head at that and just starts typing in the calculations. He's just like, all right, hopefully this brings him in, and he presses enter.
Okay. Now, are you trying to bring him to you, or are you trying to bring you to him?
June, if we brought you to him, would you be able to get back?
Well, from how Alistair got here, I guess there's some way to do that.
All right. Well, then, guys, I guess we're going to head over to where he is. Make sure you suit it up.
He does kind of sound longingly like, do I really have to come back here? I've been here for so long.
And we thank you for your sacrifice, June.
There's just a little bit of remorse in his voice, as he says it.
We'll send a pizza back with you. It'll be fine.
I'm sure if you take a day off like once a week.
Y'all can maybe alternate. One of y'all go on vacation for a day or two, come back, and
just chill out for a little bit.
We haven't talked to Percival yet. Maybe one of these 3 has to be sick of the other 2, right? It just has to have happened by now. One of them is like, send anybody but me.
I thought they were best friends.
Yeah. Okay. So, using the portal, using basically the frequency that the 3 of you have, which is the travel device, and knowing where it's going with your perfect success, you can run this car right through that portal, activate it, and fly again through space like energy blurs that are just transferring through and taking you to the moon.
Awesome.
When you land on the moon, you all just start like zapping in, coming to as your energy kind of like redisperses, like teleporting, right? As your mass just kind of comes back together, and there's this moment of disorientation that you're all very used to because you've done it so many times. And when you all come together, you see this weird sort of like giant, like two-teethed thing that has like a ranger suspended in it, in like this sort of orb, and is obviously like the rack, like it's torturing this ranger, and it is made of whatever the monster homeworld is, and it is surrounded by golden putties, and you see what looks like a small horde, like a little cache of different monsters that are working together, and at the middle of them you see one who seems to be like crafting monster statues.
Run them over.
All right.
If we're going with the tendency to act unranger-like to resolve this issue, then let's do it.
Today is the best day.
This is the best day.
Should I turn the spikes off?
No.
Okay. No. Okay. You get in high gear, and as you start running towards it, you see, basically, like as if out of other portals that are surrounding the area, monsters are starting to flood in.
Ooh, that's bad. That's very bad. Why is that happening? Oh no. Maybe if we break that weird rack-looking thing.
Do a fancy spin. See if you can whiptail him out of there.
All right, I'll try to break it apart. And I'll try to essentially destroy the rack.
Okay. What? Well, I guess I'm like, what strategy? That's probably a challenge to launch. To use the vehicle to do so. With that, why don't we call it here for you to like launch the vehicle into it, because that may take some time. Outside of what the three of you are doing, meta-wise, right? The three of you had transported yourself here and left them behind. Now, what's going on is Mesmero is somewhere inside of this core of this planet, and the hypnogryph is giving him the bad news. The three of you, I don't think they're coming, boss. I don't think they're coming at all. They actually, I think they shut the door. Because you can hear like the ting, ting, ting. What? They're not coming? What do you mean they're not coming? And you can hear like the loud flipping, right? As if he's got some kind of like almost a copy of the records of what he saw. It's like, it's right here. They come through. They do what Power Rangers do. They save the day. And him just freaking out. Just spitting out stuff. And his anger, kind of like, you can hear an almost like sense of rumbling that's like off camera. And you hear like a loud voice, like the voice of God, that basically has almost like a slithering voice. Then I guess we'll have to go there the long way. And Mesmero can just be like paled in the shadow of what can only be imagined as the planet turning into a giant Zord-like figure.
I was going to point out we've sealed him inside with the Akashic records.
Well, he doesn't have he has like a piece of it or a copy. Yeah, because like you all saw, like the records were still there. They were intact. Now, there's probably ways to take parts that you wouldn't be able to see, right, or copy it in some way. But
got it.
But like if you copied all of the knowledge, would you just take like a screenshot? Would it be like one little possibility, or? Okay. Now, the coolest thing that the three of you just did that's really interesting is you bought yourself time. So the three of you are here, like way ahead of schedule, at the moon, basically, knowing that this inevitable Zord-like monster world is coming, but you have time. Now, you see these monsters pouring in, and the only hint you get is that you see Goldar, and realize that they're coming from the world.
Uh-oh.
I hate it when you run into your exes.
Wait, if all the monsters are coming here, what's happening on Monster World?
Yes, your eyes get big. Okay.
Excellent.
We're gonna need a bigger Zord.
We're gonna need a bigger Zord. Now the good news is,
Okay,
right?
so Possum Zord, Gator Zord, and hold on, we're doing Louisiana theme here. What else do we got? Possum,
Crayfish.
Gator,
Like a crawfish Zord.
crayfish. Yes, there we go. Perfection. All right.
So with your, but you are close to home. We never had to answer the question of like, can you summon your Zords from as far away as you are? Well, the good news is you can definitely bring them here.
Right.
So you have your Zords. You may have access to the Lost Ranger Zords, which we're not sure what the state of those are. But you only have 2. That does make 5 of you with an interesting combination of Zords, though.
Well, I imagine our actual Pterozords are different from being a crawfish and a gator.
Yeah.
But if we can get a couple more junkyard Zords made.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I kind of like. Maybe Isaac made some 2 extra Zords, too, because you can't just make 1 Megazord. That's like I prepared a dish. Here's the bread. Where's the rest of the sandwich? I
So
did.
if you decide you don't want the Possum Zord, I totally want it because I'm going to drive it to school. Nobody's taking my parking spot ever again.
I tried to
Nobody's
go
gonna
with
have a parking spot ever again except for you.
Yeah, it takes up a whole parking lot. Just
Okay.
Oh.
So we clearly hit the last milestone. So everyone can take a minute, upgrade your characters. You get 1 point to raise, maybe one of your strategies, maybe one of your soul skills. If you want to add something new, create an organization out of a relationship. Of course, for Isaac, this is your milestone. So you can go from 7 to 8 and something with that point if you want.
I will. I think I'm gonna hit my soul skill.
Okay.
Go from 7. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, in this Power Rangers, we know in the next meeting, you're going to need to come up with an answer of how do you fight a Planet Zord. So
I doubt we have the matrix of leadership.
the matrix of leadership, yes.
Maybe I can kick up planning. Yeah, I'm gonna do soul skills. Well,
Or I can create a new strategy or a new tag. I'm sorry.
You can create a new strategy. It started at beginner.
Yes.
I solved it. We tell BP, Halliburton, and Nexon there's oil.
they will
Planet's
do a
taken
number
care
on
of.
that planet. Oh no! Make a board. Turn Brandy into an organization.
Well, the thing about it is, maybe your neighbor is now like the Power Rangers, right?
Ooh.
Which you already have the other 2, but maybe there's a larger network out there,
A legion of Brandies.
which you might need, right? We need the
Brandies.
biggest Zord ever created.
You do.
Call the Mystical Rangers. Call the Hyper Rangers. Call the...
Shut down everything!
Have any of you seen that Katamari game where like you just roll everything into a ball?
Yeah.
It's like some like everyone's just throwing their Zords into this pile of like making the biggest Zord possible.
Starts dancing around on galaxies like
Yeah.
That will be the final fight, using planets as like leverage.
Okay. Everybody gets 2 belief. And last but not least, we need some gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah, so each of you think about what was the awesome thing that someone else did that made your experience better today.
The possum sword.
Yeah.
Awesome sword.
The possum sword.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Sometimes it's just a clear and present victory, right? With back wheels that had that muscle car feel, that had that revving engine that was like boop, 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 boop.
I love the like muffler sticking out. I was like, how can
Yeah.
I go chariot thing with this muscle car?
And Pete, what about you?
Awesome. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take plan from 5 to 6.
Okay.
That's what I'll do with that.
Man with the plan.
Man with the plan. Guys, I got a plan. It's kind of like leadership-ish. I always think, I'm like, man, when starting off a character, I try to do a social skill, mental skill, and a physical skill. I think that's always like a good rule of thumb. Pew! Do I even have that on Isaac? Plan. Bumble's kind of physical.
You're like, I always do this. Wait a minute, did I do it?
I didn't do it. Bad example.
Well, I mean, Dream Chase was like the only game you
As
kind
is.
of don't have to do that. Because the interpretation of your strategy, so.
Yeah.
Most games you're like, well, I want to make sure I can do something in every scene, right? And Dream Chaser kind of lets you can pretty much still pull that off, so you're not as stuck. You're like, I only have Disney show tunes. Well, remember that number from Aladdin? Yeah, that's how I fight. What's your gratitude, Pete?
My gratitude is to my awesome teammates, and especially, 1, for Brandy's hijinks, as always, and 2, Alistair got a character upgrade. Woo!
Yeah,
Superhero
that's
fan.
cool.
Bear witness. Like, as soon as he, went there, so I'm like, oh, not worthy! I'm not worthy!
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to wrap for today. We'll see you next week for our finale as we free the Lost Rangers and prevent Ranger power from infecting the universe.
Dun dun dun.
Nice.